Welcome back, everybody, to the Big Fellas Podcast. A little bit of a different format this week because we are on TikTok Live. We've been having, surprise, a different recording setup this week. It's not because of technical difficulties this time, I promise. It is because Mike is in a secret, super secret location right now that is not his house. So we are operating on the fly, but we really like operating on the live streams, get some, interaction, get some questions going. But we missed recording last weekend because he was traveling. So it feels really good to be back. And Mike, I missed you.
I missed you too so much, and I missed getting onto our business calls right up this close to the camera,
Yeah,
which I think we've posted a couple of those
if you're
to my
missing
stories.
Wednesdays, usually around afternoon, if you keep an eye out, you will see some very official business meeting calls with some very official faces of very official businessmen. That's all I'll say. But today, I think we are going to have a blast because we are going to talk about something super duper relevant. It is spring break season. I will not be traveling probably in the month of March, but possibly in the month of April or May. But Mike is currently on a sort of vacation, sort of not vacation. And we've had a couple clients also ask a whole bunch as well, what's the best move for, travel in general, vacation in general. And I guess we could probably I wanted to ask you, like, before you lost the weight, how did you approach vacations? How did you approach obviously the eating side of things when you were traveling out of town, whether it was a vacation, a break, or like a work trip or a family thing? How did you approach just being out of town in general, and how has that changed?
When I was at my heaviest, I approached every vacation, trip, family party, gathering, any sort of thing, deviation outside of my plan with a fuck it mentality. Well, this is a special occasion. I'm going to eat whatever I want, and then I'll get back to it when I get home. And of course, I never got back to it when I got home because I was doing something I call bad habit tourism. Your plan has to apply everywhere. And that doesn't mean that you're restrictive everywhere because you shouldn't be restrictive at home. You should be making choices that benefit you. But I was not making choices that benefited me at home or out. It was just like, well, I get to enjoy things now when I couldn't enjoy things before. Why is it that we only enjoy things on vacation? Why can't we enjoy things all over the place? So I would come home with a bad case of what I call food velocity. And my plan wasn't quite the same that morning. I had a weird big breakfast that wasn't part of my plan. So I get back home and I'm like, well, I may as well just finish the day eating whatever I want. And then I'll get back to it tomorrow. And then tomorrow I had some excuses because I still felt bloated. And then the next day I had some excuses. And suddenly I'm not on a plane anymore at all.
Yeah.
So that's how I handled vacations and all that back in the day.
Very adjacent with a binge eater's mentality. I think that was probably the big thing that you and I both, obviously we had we each had our own plethora of issues around eating and the psychology of eating. But I think binge eating was the one that affected me the most. And when you said specifically, when I got home, when you traveled home after the binge or after the vacation and you I had a big breakfast before I got on the plane, I might as well finish out today's fuck it. I'm already so far gone, I might as well just say fuck it, right? And that's something that really is a completely flawed way of thinking for tons of reasons that we're not going to get into today. That could be an entire episode in itself. That was a big one. And another one that I often found very similar to everything you said in my own personal experience. But on top of that, I like to hide. I spoke on this before when we talked about the holidays, but I like to hide, or I used to. I hid behind big events, traveling, vacation, occasions, any sort of occasion. I would hide behind that and use that as a way to eat ungodly amounts of stupidly high calorie food past the point of enjoyment, by the way, past the point of enjoyment, just because I thought that I would be judged less by the others because I was eating on vacation or a trip or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, I realized nobody really gave a fuck, which was good. And I was just shooting myself in the foot. And when you begin to realize that no one is overly examining your food the way you are, it allows you it's a very freeing feeling.
Let's talk about eating past the point of enjoyment, because I think a lot of people listening to us right now are under the assumption that one of the only things that we get to enjoy on a vacation, other than the fact that we're in a very cool place and we're probably with good people that we want to be spending time with, is that we just get to eat whatever it is that we want. We get to eat the amount of volume that we want. Do we really want it? Because we always feel terrible after we eat it. So, what is the point of enjoyment? How do we determine where that is?
That's a good one. Obviously, it's a lot harder to be in tune with your hunger cues when you're on a beach sipping a pina colada and there's tapas and burritos and tamales and I mean wherever people go for vacation. I'm just thinking of the typical spring break, tropical destinations. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that answer, but one thing that I want to say now before I forget about it, alcohol. Alcohol plays a huge role when people are on vacations, and think of it as, you ever wear those drunk goggles, the big like scientist goggles that like mimic being drunk? You
Mhm.
are literally putting those on and clouding your vision and your judgment and your hunger cues when you are drunk. When you consume, obviously one drink isn't going to kill you if you're the average person, but when you consume alcohol, you are far more likely to not be in tune with those hunger cues, make poor judgment decisions that you probably wouldn't have made if you were sober, and overindulge to the point where you're not even really enjoying yourself anymore. You just committed to doing this action and you haven't really thought about stopping it. And the next thing you know, it's been 30 minutes and 10,000 calories have been consumed. And you're like, oh. So that's something I really try to hone in on my clients with. Like, obviously, enjoy yourself. But not only is it catabolic, not only does alcohol literally eat at muscle. I mean, Mike and I aren't big drinkers, so it's very easy for us to say this. Everything in moderation, of course. Not only is it eating at your muscle, but it's clouding your judgment when it's already going to be hard to make the right judgment calls.
Mhm. That's true. I'm same with those of us on the green side of consumption.
Yes, yes.
We'll say
Mike and I's inside joke is we like to going to Applebee's is kind of our code name for that. If you guys were there for that
yeah.
stream, you understand why that kind of arose. I
Well,
mean,
let's talk about even just the mental side of it too, because that also tends to serve as permission, especially for those who are over consuming an alcohol. What's the cure for a hangover or the cure to prevent getting further drunk? It's, well, I'm going to have something greasy and heavy because that's the way that we get through this feeling of intoxication. Or when you go to Applebee's, so to speak, the mentality is, well, I'm going to enjoy this food a lot more, so I may as well get some good snacks and goodies so I can enjoy them on my way. So it's not even just the chemical part of it. It's you are partially tricking yourself into thinking that's what you're supposed to be doing. Same with a vacation. When you're on vacation and you're eating so much, you're tricking yourself into thinking that's what you're supposed to do.
absolutely. The biggest thing that I really honed in on this year for all of my folks that were going on vacation, what I like to tell people when they're on vacations and they're still trying to lose weight, save most of your food or your eating for the main event of the day. What's the main event? When you're on vacation, you're probably a lot of those main events are going to be dinners, going to, clubs, big group dinners. It could be a million different things. But saving the majority of your eating for the main event where the maximum level of enjoyment, the most food is already going to be around you. Not saying don't eat until those things happen, but when you're able to keep things a little lighter and really allow yourself to fully enjoy that dinner, brunch, whatever it ends up being, you feel like you're not missing out. You allow yourself to be a little less guilty. You get maximum enjoyment of vacation, and you still get that feeling of elevating the moment because, like, that's what people wait for. Friday night dinner, second night of vacation, you're going out with all your friends and family. Like, that's what it's for, right? That's what vacation's all about. And when you can save, if you're on a calorie budget, if you're tracking your calories, if you can save the majority of your calories for that main event, you're going to be maximizing your enjoyment and minimizing your guilt.
Let's talk about peer pressure for a second, because that's another factor that puts us into the mindset of let's eat more. I'll even catch myself doing it sometimes to the people that I care about because food becomes a love language. It is a love language to a lot of us.
Mm.
You're always concerned of whether or not someone wants more, if they want to eat more. And that's especially true on a vacation or a spring break sort of situation where everyone's eating. So I may as well do the same thing. Just like you were saying before, people are going to judge you less, but at the same time, they're also going to suggest it more. So what do you do in a situation where someone's suggesting that you eat more when you may not necessarily want more?
It's not easy, but I always just fully recommend complete and utter transparency. Transparency is what you're going to need when you're on any sort of fitness journey, right? Now, I'm not necessarily talking about, oh, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, I'm blasting a bunch of tren. Like, obviously, I should be transparent in that scenario. But I'm saying, like, I had a client come to me 2 months ago. She says, Noah, I was out to dinner with friends and I feel a little disappointed because I ate, I budgeted, but then afterwards, on our way out, we walked over to it was like a cake shop or a froyo stand, and her friend insisted that she bought, like, it was like a carrot cake. I think it was like a mini celebration for something for work, and she bought her a carrot cake and gave it to my client, as like a, hey, please take this. And they wanted to share it right then and there, and she had some, and she was like, how do I navigate that next time? Because I enjoyed the carrot cake. I don't feel guilty about that, but how do I navigate those unplanned moments where the calories pop in? Transparency. It's about having a difficult conversation when it's really not even that difficult at all. I found that when you have truly supportive people in your life, you can just simply say, hey, I'm on this fitness journey. This is my goal. What, insert goal here. Everybody's goals are different. This is what I'm doing to achieve that goal. So this is why I'm making the decisions that I am. And this is how you can help me. And when you have those, and you don't have to have them on the spot, sometimes you need to, but when people are aligned and they're all looking in the same direction as you and they know how to help you, makes life 10 times easier. Your ability to have difficult conversations will increase the quality of your life. And that's a quote that kind of goes around every aspect of life, but that is something that I think has been wildly transformative, especially within eating as well. Do you find peer pressure affects you now? Or obviously, I'm sure it affected you more in the past, but do you still find lapses where peer pressure kind of gets to you a little bit at all?
Does it affect me? Yes. Does it sway me? No. I
Talk
don't
about that.
like having to have those conversations. I don't like having to place my boundaries down, but my feeling good matters more to me than making other people feel good about putting food into me.
Right.
Like, I don't want to feel terrible later, not just mentally like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that much. I don't want to physically feel bloated. And that's enough of a driver for me to be like, no, no, thank you. No. And sometimes you have to say it a couple of times. Eventually they let off, and it's never destroyed a relationship to say no a couple of times.
Yeah.
But it will certainly destroy your waistline and your relationship with yourself and with food. And that's why you're here probably listening to this podcast all the way through, because you're not making choices. You're letting other people make choices for you. Why should other people get to make choices for you? You make those choices. Real quick, I just want to answer this one question. What
Yeah.
was the catalyst for either of you to finally start on your fitness journeys?
You want to answer first?
What was yours? Yeah, I was going on mine. So mine wasn't a terribly momentous occasion. I was handed a bottle of kefir probiotic in June of 2017. I was at my heaviest, and my friend said, this helps with cravings. And I thought to myself, I'd never thought of the way that I was eating as like cravings. I'd never thought of myself. I knew I was a bigger guy, but I didn't think of my weight all that much. And I tried it, and it tastes like yogurt's evil twin. So it was disgusting and terrible, and it made me not hungry. So I'm like, I guess it worked. Not in the sense that maybe it should, but it worked. And from there, I kind of realized, maybe I have control over the things that I eat and the shape of my body. And then I proceeded to take on some very unsustainable means of weight loss from there on. But that was the beginning. It wasn't like a super sad event where I was, covered in barbecue sauce and like falling asleep with my hand in a pizza or whatever. Like it was kind of a half-assed decision, to be quite honest.
Some would call that a imperfect start to an imperfect yet successful journey.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
don't.
that beginning run was never going to be successful, but we all have to start somewhere, and mine really started at a nothing pace.
Yeah.
So
You don't
this
need
is
you
where
don't
I am
need a
now.
bunch of other people lined up at the starting line and somebody in the air shooting a gun saying go. You know, you just go. You just start
Yeah.
where you're at. Yeah, no, I wasn't also sitting there lathered up in barbecue sauce, crying in my own emotions. For me, I was in my first year of college. We finished it up online. I was at my heaviest or near my heaviest, just gaming all day, doing homework online. And this was COVID. That's why everything had to go online. And it was April 17th, 2020 is when I took my first progress picture. And it was kind of a nothing picture. I just popped a pic before I hopped in the shower. I was just like, you know what? I haven't, we'll just, you know what? I'm okay with this. Let's just see what I've got going on here. I kind of like the way my arms look, coping. And I'm like, I'll just store this for later, see what happens. And then taking that picture just kind of set something up underneath me. And then as I started thinking more and more about that picture, I was really like, wow, if I don't do this now, where it's COVID, I'm done with class, I'm playing video games 8 hours a day because there's nothing else to do. I can't work, I can't go to school, I can't hang out with my friends. What am I supposed to do with myself? I have every minute of every day to myself. If I can't do it when I am in full control, how am I going to expect myself to do it when I'm an adult, when life goes back to normal and I'm working again and all this other shit, right? So I'm like, if I can't do this now, I will never be able to do this. So mine was maybe a little bit more dramatic, just the way I spoke to myself. But then I also endeavored on a very unsustainable way to get started to a journey and made a ton of mistakes along that path. But that was kind of our first motivators. And that let's talk about this now. This is a phenomenal kind of leeway for that. The first vacation after or during the weight loss journey, and the pros, the cons, the goods, and the bads that you did while you were there.
I'll tell you this, and I think both of our stories really serve to highlight this, that they weren't major decisions. Like, we're going to turn this all around now. This is, we unfortunately took some major decisions going forward. I didn't feel like my decisions were very major,
Yeah.
but you did a little bit more. But had we made smaller changes through those journeys, those initial journeys, we maybe wouldn't have had to do it as long as we did. Maybe it would have taken a shorter amount of time. Perhaps there would have been less fallbacks during the process. I can't think of when my first vacation would have been, but I know for sure that that winter I would have been, at my grandparents' house for Thanksgiving or Christmas,
Right.
and I sure as hell was eating a whole bunch there. There's no chance I wasn't. I know that Thanksgiving was a very contentious time for a long time for me. Even when I felt that I was doing well, I'd get there and, give into the effort mentality and just eat whatever. And then I'd get back home and I'd have the food velocity. And if I was lucky, that would last a week or two, and then I'd go back to it. And if I wasn't lucky, I'd be off for the season. That'd be the end. And then I'd have to pick it back up, and like February tended to be a time that it was never a New Year's resolution thing for me. It was always like February kind of
Yeah.
brought that on to me for some reason. I don't know why. And then I would fall off by May or June-ish and then gain the weight back through the summer. But
Yeah. My first trip, vacation, whatever you may have, I haven't really gone on a proper vacation since COVID. I've gone out of town a couple times, but most of that was just like seeing family, and like I was there for other reasons. I wasn't really just like kicking it, you know. That first trip, I believe it was in September, so 4 months into the journey. School was starting back up, and I was online, but we were visiting my girlfriend's family down in Louisville. And wasn't anything crazy, wasn't a big trip. We were just seeing family and friends. We were down there for like a weekend. But I remember I was actually like looking back on it now, I was actually quite impressed that it wasn't worse. We stayed with her family for a couple days. I bought my own little like snacks and groceries to make sure I got my protein in. I was really just like, I'm going to make sure I hit my protein goal. I'm going to allow myself to have a little bit of fun. We went out to eat once or twice. I remember there was one moment where I was like, what are we doing here? And that was when I had a few too many muffins and donuts for one breakfast, but it really was pretty solid moderation overall. And that, I think, is when it really clicked, where I was allowed to be around other people. I wasn't stressed out. I was getting complimented left, right, and center by everyone that had seen me previously, be it like 320 pounds. and it was a good feeling, and I feel like I could genuinely achieve balance, and I feel like everybody that was down there, I didn't even have to have a conversation with them. They just respected my boundaries and understood that I was a determined person. But if anything, they were impressed, or they were aligned and allowed, like they were happy to see me, that grandma saying, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you eat," like, okay, I'm not starving myself, but
Yeah.
that was the first time. It was a overall a solid trip, I'd say. And that was when I realized, like, oh, this is for real. Like, I'm doing this forever.
hmm
It was a
I
good.
had my first mindful Thanksgiving so I started my journey in 2017. My first mindful Thanksgiving was 2022. So it took that long for me to actually go into it with a game plan, where I was thinking to myself, I'm going to do this with intention. I'm going to eat the things that I would like to eat and things that are going to make me feel good, both mentally and physically. And I did, and I had good balance. I didn't overeat, I didn't undereat, and I left feeling good. That was super important to me as a proof of concept, was like, I'm doing well.
I like one of probably my favorite video, or one of my favorite videos you've ever made, was if you made the decision, no matter whether you're on vacation or you're at home, to have a fun food, make it a damn good one. Don't make it a half-assed fun food. Like you were in the grocery store. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like the cookies one.
Yeah, the apple cider donuts.
Yeah, the
I
donuts.
had
That's what it
seen
was.
apple
Yes.
cider donuts in the grocery store,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, that sounds pretty good. And then I thought to myself, well, do I want six half-assed grocery store donuts, which I got roasted for because that brand apparently people think it's good. They're not good. I've had them. They're kind of dry. Or I could go to the farm locally. I also got roasted for that because apparently there's no farm bakeries anywhere else aside from Jersey, and I could get a good one there, and I did, and I got one about twice the size for half the price, and it was delicious and good, and I got to see alpacas. Be a little bit of a snob.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have something, go have the best version of that thing you're gonna have. Don't settle for a cauliflower crust pizza. All you're gonna do is eat the calories of a cauliflower crust pizza and have a void left in your stomach for something good. No matter how hard they try, the technology is not going to catch up. Stop trying with the cauliflower pizza crust.
See, I don't mind the cauliflower pizza crust, so I guess that's one point where we disagree. I think it's a different realm. I think it's something separate from normal pizza.
Shadow Realm, where it is.
What the fuck else was I had something else in my mind that was very relevant to what we were speaking on. You had said
Talking about the apple cider donuts, be a snob about it. Get
it
the
was the
best thing in the
Thanksgiving thing.
Thanksgiving. I went into it mindfully. I had a plan. I wanted to do things in a way that benefited me, that felt good mentally and physically, and I left feeling good.
I remember. So today, story time from today. So I work out. I did the same gym I've been working out at for 7 years now, I think. And I work online with people all over the globe, but I have one client that is from my hometown. I knew him personally. He reached out. He was a couple grades above me in school. I've known this guy for years. Phenomenal person. And I saw him at the gym today, and he just got back from like a 10-day vacation. And he looked all tan. He was on the treadmill. And he told me today how much he missed being in the gym. And he was very much a newbie in the gym before we had gotten started. So that was a huge sign. But the big thing was that when we got home, we had him weigh in, and he was up 4 pounds on vacation. Not terrible. Not terrible at all. And then he said, it's been 3 days since I've been home. I weighed in again today, and I'm already back to my pre-vacation weight. If
Mhm.
you don't make it a huge deal and just try to have some resemblance of balance, even a little bit, there's a 95% chance you're going to go back to that pre-vacation weight about a week after you're back anyway. Because most of that weight is going to be water. Because when you're
Yeah,
on
let's
vacation,
talk about
you're
vacation.
tending to move more anyway.
Mhm. We got to talk about vacation weight for a second. What are we usually overeating on vacation? Aside from the volume in general, we're going to be eating a lot more carbs and things that are a bit salty and greasy, stuff that we're going to hold on to a little more in terms of water weight. That vacation weight is water weight for the most part. You might put on a pound or two or something, but that'll leave in a week of proper progress. Nothing matters. Just like that. I honestly don't see the value in a buffet at this point in my life anymore, which is something that if I had told myself in 2017, I would not have believed me. But volume, the point of a buffet is volume. It's not about the taste. It's not about the quality. That's for damn sure if you've ever been to a buffet. Um, there's
This,
like sort of good analogs of the foods that you might get from a restaurant somewhere else, but like just missing something good about it. I don't know. It's but it's the base is volume, and that's what you're kind of going for on a vacation is how much can I eat? Look for the best things you can find. Go find the novel things, the things that you can't get at home. You know, you can get most of the restaurant foods that you're going to order anywhere else. Go get the special thing.
yeah. Get the stuff you're not going to be able to have at home. Like when I was in Boston years ago, I made sure that I got a lobster roll while I was in Boston. Because a
Hmm.
lobster roll from Boston, like downtown, like right next to the fucking water, Boston, is going to be the best lobster roll I'm probably going to be able to have in my life. I mean, not like I'm eating that many anyway, but when in Rome, that's pretty
Yeah.
much the mindset there. Like, take advantage of what's around you. If you can get fresh seafood that was caught this morning out of the Gulf of Mexico, don't order the fucking chicken tenders. I mean, unless you're ultra picky, that's a different subject for a different day. One other thing I wanted to say, I
Sorry, I just felt the need to put my hat on. That's all.
yeah, I completely lost my train of thought now. Thank you. Oh, back on the final thing of vacations. This is the greatest part of going on vacation when you're on a fitness journey is the first gym trip afterwards. Absolutely crazy pump. The best pumps, best lifts that I've ever had. Most of them are coming off of a vacation or a trip of some kind.
And why is that, Noah?
I'm carbed and sodiumed the fuck up. The
That's what it is.
juicy pumps, man. I was talking to somebody about it today, a different gentleman, one of my friends from school I had seen there. And he's like, I just had the greatest chest day of my life yesterday. And they had just gotten back from Aruba like the week,
Yeah.
like just from like a week ago. So, like, or is his first time back, So I'm like, vacation lifts are real. And I just told that to one of my clients too. He's like, I felt crazy pumped today. I'm like, that's a vacation pump and they're phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, that all being said, the vacation pumps don't happen so much for me anymore because I'm eating more or less kind of the same while I'm out.
Yeah.
I I do eat a little more mindfully. But in the situations where I am eating a little bit more, I get back and I do feel that good feeling. But in that same vein, I'm going for consistency now.
Yeah.
I don't want to have those short bursts where I'm having the crazy pumps. I want to have a good pump every day. I want to feel good at the gym every day. I want to feel good at home every day. And part of that is finding balance and sustainability in everything we do. Tonight, like you said, when in Rome, I'm in Texas at the moment, and I'm gonna have some barbecue while I'm here because that's what they do here. And not that there's anything good in Jersey for the most part. And I'll tell you a quick story on that. I would always joke that the only thing worth staying in Jersey for was the pizza. So when I got here last time, I said, "Bring me to whatever your favorite pizza is. I need to know." And I had it, and guess what? It was great. And I'm like, cool, there's no reason to live in Jersey anymore. I guess I'm coming to Texas.
Always good sign of
That's it. My final stick in the mud was pulled out. So, but yeah, that's obviously not what Texas is known for. So I'm going to have what it is known for. And I've had a bunch of regional things that I can't get anywhere else while I've been here, and I've enjoyed them in moderation, and I've enjoyed them well.
Heck yeah. When you said the consistency thing, one of my favorite comparisons, when you have a polygraph test, when you look at a polygraph test or a lie detector test, how they work is on paper, there's a little pen that has ink on a piece of paper, and the paper is rolling past it, and when somebody's heartbeat escalates when they're lying, it goes like this, up and down. What we are trying to craft for other people is allowing them to build a lifestyle where it's steady and it's not wow, 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 wow. It's chill. That's what we're trying to look for. Because when your goods are great and you're on cloud nine, but then the next day you feel like you are down in the dumps and you're sitting there and you're dwelling on all of your mistakes, you're going to have a really hard time living that way for the rest of your life. But if you can just, like Mike was doing with the little finger, just slowly chug away, scale weight slowly doing this, progress is slowly doing this. That's the way to make it a life. And most people aren't after being professional bodybuilders, professional powerlifters, professional long distance marathon runners. Most people just want a good life where they feel confident in their own skin. And if you want to do that, we found the greatest way to do that, not this.
And it does look like this. It's never going to look straight like that. It's going to
No,
look
no.
up and down and up and down and up and down because you're a human being and not a machine. And that's just the way that life goes. And sometimes, hey, you are going to go down here. And sometimes you are going to go up here a little bit, but you can't get caught up over here, and you certainly can't let this get any worse. Got to stay where you are.
I wrote this in an email today, but Mike and I are in the stuff that we're building right now. We talk about giving room for failure, walking into this expecting to fail a few times. Because if you're, like we say, if you expecting perfection is guaranteeing disappointment. So if you're not walking into a fresh fitness journey with giving yourself a little wiggle room, saying, okay, I know I'm going to fuck up a couple times. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I know I'm going to, and that's okay. If you walk in with that mindset, you are going to go 10 times further than somebody that's going to just say, I will never fuck up. I'm going to do this hardcore once and forever, and then I'll be done after 6 weeks, and I'll look like Chris Hemsworth, and I'll have a beach bod, and all the ladies will love me. Newsflash, that's not gonna happen.
It's all men that love you when you get all the muscles.
Oh my God, facts.
Shout out to all the fellas that have been hitting on us. And we appreciate you. We love you. We're sorry that we can't reciprocate, but we appreciate it nonetheless. Shout out to all the guys. Yeah, you get big muscles, and that's not the case. It's not all women. It's
No.
not women. It is men. Well, again, different tangent entirely. What else do we have on vacations? Any final thoughts? Anything else you're thinking about?
I think that's a pretty good. I mean, I've covered a lot of what I wanted to touch on. Hovering around the main event, talking about my experiences, the binge eating, the consistency, the days after, and your stories with that. I think this is a solid episode.
I'll give you this because I always try to give a little piece of advice at the very end. After a vacation or an event of any kind where you're off your plan, even if you've done well, don't weigh yourself for about a week or so. There's no reason. It's not going to be valuable data to you. It's not going to help you in any capacity. If you're eating that way regularly, yeah, we probably want to keep weighing ourselves to make sure that things go well. But if it's a one-off vacation where you're eating differently, even if it's not more, stay away from the scale. It's not valuable information to you.
Stay away from the mirror too. Be careful. Like that day
Yep.
after, when you're body checking yourself, you're gonna be setting. If you had more than you were planning on vacation, you're human, so what? You're gonna be a little bit more bloated. I mean, the best of us still do it, but when you hop in the mirror and see what you're looking like, or you're changing your clothes and you want to see what the body looks like after a vacation, maybe you're not weighing yourself. Don't take too long. Oh man, my stomach got bigger on the vacation. I gained too much fat. No, you didn't. You're holding on to water. And that's what your body is responding to. Because your body's meant to do that. Just give it a few days.
The
Patience
next
is
vacation you should take, the next visit that you should make is to our pages. You can find me at Mike Needs a Plan on Instagram and on TikTok. Where can they find you, Noah?
Ooh, that was fire. That was a good one. At the biggest fella __ Instagram and TikTok. And we are both on the Big Fella's YouTube channel, which hopefully this is where you're watching it. We've had a lot of people hop in and out of the live. We will have a very much official setup, but we are very committed to keeping these weekly episodes so you guys can at least get some sort of audio. Maybe the video is not great, but we want to keep having these conversations for you guys. You guys have been super receptive, and we have loved hearing all the feedback. So, like we always say, be kind to yourself and keep it simple.
Keep it simple.